Greetings, everyone, and welcome to a special edition of Knights of the Turntable. I have with me Richard Bailey,
What's up, listeners of yours?
and I've got Joe Hova.
Hey, what's up? I'm tweeting this link out real fast.
Oh, my bad. We'll start a little
No, we're good. I thought my thumbs would be faster. All right, we're good.
All right, so it's just us three right now. We may have a couple people pop in a little further into the show, but we wanted to do a first impression for Kendrick Lamar's "To Pimp A Butterfly." If you're not aware,
Trash.
trash boat. You gotta say the whole thing.
Trash boat.
If you're not aware, last night, roughly around midnight or 1 in the morning, it leaked on iTunes. Oh, I'm sorry. It leaked, quote, air quotes if you're not watching the video. It leaked
Well,
between.
you got to backtrack about an hour and a half too, because the clean version leaked on iTunes as well.
Yeah, all kinds of air quotes in there. The clean version leaked on iTunes. People start, clowning Interscope, clowning iTunes. People ripped the clean version and started sending the links out. And then, just all of a sudden, the explicit version, the Spotify link, and the Google Play all just happened to magically go live. And it just seemed like it was just too perfect. But I went ahead and purchased my copy, even though I hate getting digital versions. I was like, bump it, I'm going to go ahead and spend this $15. We're going to rock out. But we're going to do a first impression on that project and see what everybody thought of it. First, before we get into that, though, on the things that happened last night, do y'all feel like it was planned, considering, it being near the anniversary of Tupac's, Me Against the World?
I think the clean version was planned.
You think it was?
I think the clean version was planned, and then people started going nuts, and somebody accidentally hit the trigger.
For the rest of them?
Accidentally?
Mhm.
Accidentally?
Air quotes.
Yeah, accidentally.
If we were doing a drinking game this week,
That would be it.
That would be it. That would definitely be it. So Rich, what do you think? You think it was a mistake? You think somebody slipped up and their elbow hit the button, or?
Well, I think when the last single dropped, that dropped a couple days prior to this coming out. So I don't know if it was an accident. I think it was intentional to a degree. I saw that Kendrick had a response on Twitter, said all is fine or something like that. All is well. So yeah, maybe he anticipated this might happen. So it was like, well, it's not a big deal. The music is out there now.
In these days, controversy sells too.
Well, that's the thing too. I think that artists they can't be stupid enough to think that their album's not going to leak. This is kind of their way of fighting back against leaks, is just kind of dropping it out of nowhere. And I think that's why he was okay with it.
Yeah. And then another thing, like, I don't work for these companies, and I'm not like a web developer or whatever, but considering legal things and stuff like that, I don't think you can just literally click a button and all of this just goes live. Maybe for one of them, but for the Google Play and Spotify as well to go live alongside the iTunes one is what kind of makes me think it was planned out.
Well, I think this was the fail-safe too.
Think
Was
so?
that they noticed how like the clean version was going, and then they just like, all right, fuck it, rush it up.
Get somebody up, wake them up. Let's get it out there. All right. So, we have it now. People have talked about it. It's been a little overshadowed today because of stupid celebrity things going on, but we're not going to get into those. But let's go ahead and jump into the impressions of the project itself. Now, just give us a brief synopsis of how you felt about the singles before the album came out. We'll start with you, Joe.
I love them. Everybody hated I was one of the few who loved it. Like I was so happy that NBA on TNT picked it up as like kind of their song to kick off the NBA season. So it was it was cool. So I like that. And then the Blacker the Berry was really good. I really, I kind of did like the face like every time that he was like dropping gems and stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, I dug both of them.
Gotcha. You didn't listen to King Kunta beforehand, right?
No, because I was trying to find an embed so I could post it on essentials.com, but there was no embed. It was like all like uploaded to people's websites. And I was just like, all right, I'll just wait, whatever.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to teach you the ways, man. I'm gonna have to show you the dark side of the internet. Real. We'll get to that after the show. But Richard Bailey, how did you feel about the singles beforehand?
Yeah, I thought I was great. A lot of the music he was playing in that prior to starting the song in the video was awesome too. But I thought I was great. Also thought that Black of the Berry was good too. But if you want to ask me which song I immediately had a reaction to, yeah, obviously King Kunta. I mean,
Word? That one stood out to you the most?
That was the one. Well, I mean, to me, it's like some of these songs it takes a little while to get into. Right as soon as I heard that song, I was like, oh yeah, I like this. The beat is good, delivery, everything is good. So that was the one that stood out to me the most. But
okay,
both, but still, yeah, I is excellent. Black of the Berry, both great songs as
gotcha.
well.
Okay, gotcha. I'm pretty sure all of us came to the conclusion that this album was not gonna sound like GKMC.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Like if you felt like you were gonna get Good Kid, Mad City after hearing Black of the Berry or King Kunta, then you fucked up. It's as simple as that.
My thing about that is like I didn't expect it to sound like Good Kid. I knew he was gonna go left field. I think he went too left field at times.
Uh-oh.
We're gonna get into that. We are going to get into that because it's definitely very far left considering the stuff we've got. But then again, Section 80 and KMC were very different too.
Yeah, it's not going to be for the casual hip hop listener.
Not at all. And I think Black of the Berry could appeal to the casual hip hop listener, but I think I and King Kunta really were like screaming that this is not for the casual listener. It's not. I think those two songs were saying this is gonna be more than just hip hop. This isn't gonna be repetitive loop, boom bap, me spitting over it, and that's the be all end all. You could tell it was gonna have something a little more layered to it. So we'll go track by track. I know it's very, very fresh on your mind, Joe. You just finished your first playthrough.
Yeah, I didn't listen to it last night. I opted to. I tweeted that I was opting to wait and take the road less traveled and punish myself by watching the RoboCop reboot.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. Well, we will start with you. Let's go into Wesley's Theory, which the whole thing where I said King Kunta and I really said, this isn't going to be traditional like the hip hop that you expect. Wesley's Theory was like the nail in the coffin. Like, yeah, there's a lot of people that's not going to like this. But what did you think of that track?
It was cool, but it didn't draw me in like an intro should. Like, it was just like, I mean, it could have been placed anywhere. It didn't seem like an intro to me.
I think the sample that they had at the beginning, I think that was a good intro for the whole project.
Yes, that was. And to have, I don't have it in front of me. Who was featured on that? I can't remember.
On the first song?
Yeah.
George Clinton.
Yeah, George Clinton. To have George Clinton on there is, I mean, that's pretty amazing.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. Some extra sounds threw me off. I was like, where's that coming from? I thought I was going crazy. But yes, George Clinton in the beginning doing that. I liked his little opening dialogue about, the To Pimp a Butterfly. Mm-hmm. I thought that was really cool. Rich, what did you think of the first track?
I thought that track was simply awesome. And, I know that I always get the flack for being the old head, but listen, this is a new sound, new direction, trying to explore with different things here and there. So I didn't have any issues with it. I mean, what I will say, and we'll get to all the other tracks. You listen to some of these tracks. This very much reminds you of D'Angelo's last album, where he's trying to do all this other stuff with the same type of funk, type of soul, type of thing. But I thought the track was great, personally.
And unlike the D'Angelo album, we can understand what Kendrick was saying.
Yes.
just point that out. But a lot of people drew that comparison to D'Angelo's album because of kind of the funky sound and the instruments. And one dude said he was like, it feels like D'Angelo and Kendrick somehow made a double album separate from each other. I was like, as far as the music goes, like if you take the Kendrick part out of it, the music, that's definitely what we got. Because I mean, look at who served as the foundation for that project. You had Flying Lotus did some production. You had Thundercat doing music on there. You had Terrace Martin involved. You had Ronald Isley on there more than once. George Clinton. Like, we should have known, we were gonna get that kind of sound in there. And even the songs that, like, Dr. Dre's production, if I'm not mistaken, he produced How Much a Dollar Costs.
Oh, okay.
The subtle additions to that song still made it flow within the grand scheme.
Yeah.
But yeah. So all right. So that's the first track. I'm getting ahead of myself. And then I'll combine the next two. We have the For Free interlude and King Kunta right next to each other. Joe Hova, go ahead.
For Free interlude kind of annoyed me a little bit. Like it was annoying. But from like the last 20 seconds of it into King Kunta was like really good. And like I hadn't heard King Kunta yet, and it's pretty good. No, I dig it. To preface like everything I'm gonna say before, like nothing really drew me in. Like it was like, yeah, this is Kendrick, yeah, this is a new album, I should be hype, and then I'm just like, okay, this is cool.
I hear you. The transitions definitely were a strength, especially at that point.
Yeah.
That remained a strength throughout the whole project. Rich, what did you think of those two?
This rich ain't free. Yeah. Okay, check this out. Listen.
Why?
I'm a little biased, but I am a big fan of Mo Better Blues, Spike Lee's movie.
Okay.
A lot of the music, the jazz in that, I like that stuff. I mean, I thought it was comical. I know it wasn't meant to be taken serious. All the stuff he's saying in there is not meant to be taken seriously. But I didn't have a problem with that. But because I like a lot of that jazz stuff, I was like, okay, yeah, this is cool. I like that. And of course, King Kunta. Yeah, like I said before, that song stood out to me because, everything about that song, the beat, the delivery, everything. It's a very catchy, makes you shake your head type of song. So, yeah, I thought both were great.
I think the reason why I don't like a lot of the songs in the beginning is because it's taken me a minute to adjust because it's not rappity rap Kendrick. It's not like Kendrick out there spitting, like hundreds of lyrics like we're used to hearing. This is kind of like Kendrick in a new stage.
That's good. You're right about that. Experimental, if you will.
Yeah. It's like statement Kendrick.
Big time. Big statement. You can tell he had a plan, for sure.
Yeah.
Just to throw this out there, this is a random little tidbit. Apparently, King Kunta was named Best New Track by Pitchfork.
Wow, already.
Yeah. Best New Track by Pitchfork. I don't know in what.
Well,
like, I don't know, like, what were they doing with awards? Like, where did that just come from? That they just was like, hey, we're gonna just award, bam, Best New Track. Out of what? Like this year or what?
Well, I do have a question, but I don't know if I should save it till later. Yeah, no, I'll save it for later.
Okay, what was it about?
I just wanted to ask, is it safe to say that all of the events that have been happening in the world as of late influenced his direction on this album?
I have that written down right here.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll get to that. We'll
Okay.
get to that. We'll definitely get to that because I had something in mind to say too. All right. So next, all right, we've talked about Wesley's theory for free to interlude, King Kunta, and now we have institutionalized. Which me personally, I just realized I haven't really given my thoughts on these particular songs. They're good. Like Joe said, I was more enthralled by the transition between them. From theory, like I like the opening of Western's theory, the George Clinton part. I like the transition from For Free to King Kunta, and I didn't hate King Kunta. I enjoyed it. It's a very, very funky song for me. And then Institutionalized though is I think the first real time you get rapping Kendrick,
Yeah.
which I was waiting for that. I knew it was coming. I didn't know when it was coming, but that's when it finally hit, and I was like, all right. And then having the two parts of that song because you had the instrument, and that's another thing. The sounds are so diverse throughout the project. It still has that very old school foundation to it, but they mixed up the sound often within the songs, which I think that's kind of a new thing now anyway.
Like sonically, this album makes me think of like Prohibition era, like 1930 shit.
Oh yeah.
Mixed with like hip hop.
That's real.
The cover goes along with that theory 100%.
I love that cover too.
Yes,
I love that cover. It's awesome. But Institutionalized is dope. I liked Snoop's part in the song on the second half.
Yo, Snoop might be having like a third or fourth wind or whatever you might call it, because he's nice on that track, and then he has a new song called Peaches and Cream too. That's on.
I've heard about that. I've heard about it, but I haven't listened to it.
Yeah, listen when we're done. Listen to that because Snoop. I think this is Snoop's comeback for the fourth time.
God dang. And you know what? I'm not even gonna be mad at that because each time he's come back, it's been enjoyable.
Yeah.
Like Snoop Lion was probably the least enjoyable out of all of it, but I still didn't hate it like a lot of people did. It was funny, it was easy to make a joke out of it and everything, but the fact remained that I still enjoyed the music.
Yeah.
No matter what. Like nobody expected sexual eruption to be a thing.
Nope.
When he came back and did that, and then that shit was amazing. Like I couldn't get away from that song, and I didn't want to. But what did y'all think of Institutionalized in general?
Go ahead, Joe.
I liked it. I thought that was kind of where it transitioned into where we're gonna start hearing more rapping on the album. We're gonna hear more. It's gonna dig deeper into the concept. Is that where he picks up the poem, or does that start at the beginning? Because I can't remember where I first realized, hey, I've heard this before on here.
It was at the end of King Kunta going into that song because remember the leaked. Well, you didn't know, but I was curious because the leaked version of King Kunta or the official version, it ended with him saying the beginning of that poem.
Yeah.
And then it cut off. But then you hear it in the album, and I mean it's still cut off in the album because of how he did it.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll get into that a little bit more too. But go ahead, Rich.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what you said about that's when he started rapping. I like this track a lot. For some of the same reasons. I like that the beat transitions. I also like Bilal, and I know a lot of people be like, well, why you like this guy? I know he ain't the next Prince as he would claim to be. This guy, hey, this is the type of stuff he need to be doing because his old album he had this similar type of sound, so it meshes well with everything else. And yeah, Snoop, excellent. So hey, great song, no complaints.
Yeah, and then I'm looking at the actual production credits for the project. Some that I don't know how I didn't catch it before, but y'all know the in-house producer Soundwave, right? For TV.
Is that the one with Pharrell too?
Wait, that's all right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Soundwave is on more like a large portion of the album. Like he's on the first track, and I think he just added pieces in. He produced the third song. He produced King Kunta. It's crazy how different he can You know, I think he's underrated because people don't really talk about him that much.
Yeah.
Because his production on Section 80 was great. But then again, he was also working with people like, I think Terrence Martin was involved around Section 80 time too.
Yeah, he was.
So yeah, and I was a big fan of him being involved so much. Flying Lotus as well, even though he's only on there, I think credited twice, maybe something like that. But Rich, did you have any more to add?
Oh no. I think you guys said enough. Pretty much. I think we all agree it's a great song. I don't really have any real criticisms with that particular song. Okay. Don't worry, I am gonna have some songs I have problems with though. So.
Oh no, we getting away from the songs that I even have remotely any issue with. Like, you know, Wesley's Theory wasn't amazing to me. It was a decent start. For Free was okay. King Kunta was okay. I liked Institutionalized. And then we go into These Walls, and I'm looking at the rest of the track list, and I'm like, yeah, I didn't really hate too much. There's one song out of these that had to grow on me, though, and I'll get to that. But let's go ahead and start with... Go ahead.
Hold on. Let me ask. Did his dad ever get his damn Dominoes? Like,
yo, pause. Wait.
Mention of Dominoes on this album.
Yeah, but you know what? As I was listening to the whole album, I can imagine his dad two-stepping in the living room. I think I tweeted that out. Like, I know his parents probably love this album. But let's introduce a new guest to the show. We got Lee Murky in the house. I've been trying to get this dude on the show for like months.
Yeah. Yeah, busy. What's up?
Word.
What's up?
It's good. Y'all finished the music y'all working on?
He did. I didn't drop a verse tonight. I had it written, but I couldn't get it right, so I was like, whatever, I'll come back to it later on. So.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna let you catch up because we're not too far in. We're actually we're doing a track by track breakdown of our impressions, right? So you've got to catch up now from Wesley's Theory up to Institutionalized. What were your thoughts in this portion of the album?
The album started out surprisingly dark. I didn't expect it to be that heavy early on because Good Kid wasn't that heavy early on. He waited until Mad City to kind of transition into the more, introspective, inner conflict type of material. Whereas this album, I mean, opening track, he jumped straight in to the inner turmoil dealing with the city, paralleled with the running theme of the conversational piece with Tupac, as well as, the personal subject matter with just himself, which is pretty genius when you think about the fact that he parallels his inner turmoil with his city, but he does it pretty well.
Yeah.
So with the first track, let me look at the track list because I don't have it memorized. Pretty new to the material.
I don't have it either. I got a tab open right now.
Let me see.
Because you had Wesley's Theory first, then For Free, the interlude.
Free caught me off guard. I wasn't really expecting that, but it was dope. I wasn't the biggest fan of King Kunta. I feel like there was too many negative spaces in that beat for it to be a tempo that fast. He didn't rap enough, in my opinion. Like it was 2 words stop, 2 words stop, and it's like, come on, Kendrick. Institutionalized was pretty incredible. It was refreshing hearing Snoop on something that didn't suck.
All right, wait. Before you go forward, now Joe made the observation. Apparently, he has another song out, "Peaches and Cream,"
with Pharrell and Charlie Wilson.
Yeah, I haven't heard it yet, but he thinks that this is the forthcoming of Snoop Dogg.
Wow. Oh man, I gotta hear that one. I heard his album was 100% produced by Pharrell, so maybe it'll be good.
Yeah, it can only be so bad.
Yeah. These Walls was good.
Now hold up, because that's where we're at now.
Okay, all right, I'll stop.
All right. So, Rich, if I felt like you had something to say, was this the beginning of the decline for you? Is that where you were going?
Oh no. This song is good. This is the song that's pretty much I guess this is for the ladies, I guess you could say.
In a way, but it's still pretty dark though.
Darkest.
Oh yeah, it is dark. Yeah. I mean, I thought it was okay. I mean, to me, I don't know what he's saying. Yeah, it is some dark material. The beat, music used for it is good. But overall, I didn't have any real main issues with this one.
Gotcha. Joe.
Crap. What was the name of the song again?
These walls.
These walls. Yeah, like Rich was saying, it's that one's kind of dark. I dig it though because that's the one with Analyze and Thundercat, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, like that was like that's where it starts getting like really funky to me, and that's where I was like tapping my toes, like I was tapping my toes like while I was sitting here listening, like nodding my head and stuff, like that's about where it starts picking up for me is These Walls.
Got you. See, it's a really good song, but like in the Twitterverse, that is the song that everyone was disappointed wasn't the untitled song that was in the performance just because of who was listed on the credits for that one. But I really enjoyed it. It is really dark. I read a review. I have to link it in the post, but the review was talking about how instead of taking the usual route with relationship discussion and stuff in hip hop, he kind of went deeper into the emotional side on the girl side of things and like her family turmoil and all that, which was really dope. But Lee Merck, what'd you think?
It was a jarring change of pace for me. Like there was some tonal consistency there, but just the instrumental in and of itself, like Joe mentioned, it was where the funk started to pick up, which was pretty jarring because the rest of the material to that point was, again, it was dark, a lot of drawn out instrumentation, a lot of spacey instrumentation. This was up front and it was really crisp, really, really clear. It sounded live, like as far as the instrumentation it was
right.
And it stood out to me. It wasn't bad, but it was like, wait, what? But I mean it wasn't terrible. I enjoyed it.
I didn't feel like it was jarring, probably because you was more jarring than anything for me.
Yeah.
Like I felt like that one completely just went the complete opposite of the sound that we heard.
Use the one where the second half he's rapping like kind of like he's crying, right?
Yeah, and he's drunk.
Yeah, like oh my god, that was amazing. That was incredible.
Yeah. Probably my favorite song on the album. Probably.
You was your favorite one?
Probably, yeah.
I would agree with that. That's
it made I bearable for me. I didn't like I for a long time, and it contextualized I and made it bearable. Like I actually like I now. I love I actually because of you, and it really sums up the album for me. And you just like that second half where he's like, if these bottles could talk, and he kind of chokes and he clinks the bottles together. Like,
yeah.
Imagine him in the studio doing that. Like when you put that.
I can't imagine it. Like I can't. When I was listening to it, like I went back to that one. You weren't on, but I mentioned earlier that there was a song after this point that kind of I had to grow on me, and it was this one. And it was only because of the beginning, because of how it kind of just was shocking how it started out. But I've probably listened to it more than some of the other ones, and I was trying to imagine him in that like mindset, trying to put that song together, like watching him put that together. Like as a person that's attempted to do music, it was mind blowing to even think of a person in that zone doing it. But Rich, what did you think of you?
Yeah, this was the song that I wasn't really sure which direction he was headed. Now, what you guys said about I and you, well, yeah, now that will put it in more context, because I didn't think about that until you said that. I'm assuming this is the opposite of I. So
definitely,
I definitely need to listen to that some more, because certain tracks I will skip over. I'll listen to it, but then I will skip over it on the second playthrough. This was one of them, so I have to listen to it more often to get a feel for everything that's being said and done in the song.
Gotcha. Yeah, I expected it. Just looking at the track list, it jumped out. You jumped out to me, and I could tell that it was gonna, be the flip side of I. I didn't know. I didn't expect it to be that dark. I thought it was gonna have kind of the theme of I, or even more upbeat than I was. But I mean, it was a pleasant surprise for me, for sure. I wasn't disappointed at all. But let me look at the track list again. What's next? Okay, All Right is next, and that's the one that Pharrell produced, Joe. Oh, Rich, you got something to say about that one?
Oh, no. I mean, I knew it was Pharrell even before it said that Pharrell was on the track. His certain sound for music, you could tell, is Pharrell.
Gotcha.
Hey, the hook, as you said earlier, that hook you get stuck in your head with that song. So I thought it was okay.
Gotcha. It's actually surprising hearing that song in the grand scheme of things. Not necessarily what Kendrick intended, but as far as like music and the politics with that, I'm surprised that wasn't a single. I'm surprised that wasn't the first single, as a matter of fact, because I feel like it had more of a global appeal than what he's put out. But now that we've all listened to the album, we know that he was not going for a global appeal at all, not even close. And I'm perfectly fine with that. But All Right is good, but it's probably my least memorable track on the album, personally. How about you, Lee?
All Right was all right. I mean, it was an okay record. It was the most accessible, which was what I didn't want from this album at all. I'm glad he led with I, because I mean he wasn't pump faking. Like, that is how the album sounds, and I think it's a welcome change in aesthetic. Let's call it spade a spade. He's here to counter program the people like Drake, the people like me, and that's the reason why he's able to thrive in this lane. I mean, he's even counter programming the people like Lupe, because he's more, you can meet him at face value, whereas with Lupe it's like, wait, what? With everything. And hold on to the concepts that Lupe just effortlessly rattles off, even in freestyles. It's crazy. But yeah, this was an okay record. The 70 BPM, kind of heavy 808, kind of sounds more processed, studio driven. He didn't sound as inspired on this one as he usually does, but I'm glad it was a message. He'll probably be with a single later on.
It fit. Like, when you break it down, it fit. I feel like it should have been a bonus though.
Definitely.
I feel like it took away from like some of the other music. Joe, you know what song we're on right now? Because I know you cut out. We're talking about All Right, produced by Pharrell.
That one was cool. It didn't have the same value for me as you did, though.
Yeah. It didn't fit.
Yeah, like it seemed like that could have just been like you said, like a bonus, or could have been off.
Yeah, and I think that plays into what we talked about kind of before the show, like the disappointment with not having TDE featured on the project, and understanding that they didn't fit on the project, but then pointing out that All Right, this is me. I felt like Absol would have floated on All Right.
See, Absol's the one who would fit on this album, because Q has that gritty, street rap. And J-Rock is almost the same thing, so.
Oh, it looks like Lee got something to say.
Absol has not had a good verse since the end with
I agree with that, but I feel like if they're gonna, Kendrick seems to be Michael Jordan right now, and everybody else around him is like the 92 Bulls or something.
Right. I think, so you mean Q wouldn't fit on a song like Hood Politics? I mean, if you contextualize his verse in the right way, I mean...
Maybe.
That would probably be the only exception.
But if you... I'm talking... the way I see it is from like a production standpoint. Like, this is nothing down their alley, and the only one who does fit is kind of Absol.
Right. I just don't want to hear any struggle bars, any forced paradoxical rhyme schemes. Absol has been struggling.
He got to find a zone. I don't know what's going on with Absol.
He did good against Daylight. I will say that. He did good against Daylight.
He did. That was one of the bright spots of that album that people think was better than Tetsuo and Youth, but that's a whole nother conversation.
Let's have a whole show on that topic by itself.
Word. Rich, thoughts on All Right?
Oh yeah, already gave my thoughts.
Oh yeah, you started it out.
Yeah.
Now I meant to ask you thoughts on TDE being absent from the project.
Oh well, yeah, I'm very curious as to why that was, but I figure that Kendrick wanted to make a statement with this album. Very personal and direct statement, so I guess he didn't want to have others involved. I agree. I think we're gonna get something. Probably the day that the album was supposed to come out. I think that we'll get something from them, from the rest of the crew, because it's been fairly quiet overall. But except for J-Rock, who's
strangely in the middle of promoting a project. I don't know where J-Rock's floating right now.
This just reminds me of what I said about J-Rock this week.
J-Rock.
J-Rock.
J-Rock's the Lou Smith of rap.
I saw you tweet that at RJ.
Oh, I felt so bad after I said it, but it makes sense. Like, he's here for a little while,
but it's not.
Everything's gonna be cool, and then he leaves.
Exactly.
I don't think it's his choice, though, man. I think it's just something in the grand scheme of TDE, and they just can't find the right time. Because if the right time would have been dropping it when his song got picked up by the NBA, like something right after that.
And the Beats commercial.
Well, the Beats commercial cut his verse out of it.
His name was on the commercial, though. That would have been a perfect time to drop.
Yeah, true that. All right, let's move on to the next couple tracks. We got For Sale, Interlude, and Mama right after that. Go ahead.
For Sale Interlude was cool. I liked it a lot better than the For Free Interlude. Like, it seemed like it gelled a little bit better for some reason.
Right.
But Mama's one of my favorites on the project. Like, just that whole scheme and the whole like concept of that record was flawless to me.
Okay. All right, Rich.
Yeah. I pretty much agree with what was said about For Sale. This was, I guess, the opposite of For Free. Although, as I said, I still enjoyed For Free. I liked For Sale too. Cool. Nice little changing up his voice and stuff was cool. But I agree with Joe 100%. Mama, I have replayed that song over and over again since I got the album. That's the song I replayed over and over again. Everything about that song, beat is on point. I mean, everything. I mean, but like I said, that's my opinion of that particular song.
Mama is probably the beginning of like my favorite portion of the whole album. Yeah, I'm not gonna go too much into like the rest of the songs, but this is where it really drew me in, and I was really paying a lot of attention. Lee, what were your thoughts on Mama and For Sale?
For Sale was great. I liked it about the same as For Free. Mama is a song that I've only listened to twice, but I mean it's one of my favorites on the album. When Section 80 came out, I only listened to High Power like once, and I was like, that's incredible. But it's one of those songs that's so overbearing, it just weighs on you, man. You just like, oh my God, I gotta prepare myself. Same with Sing About Me. It's like I can't listen to that song every day, but it's genuine.
No. But you know the magnificence of that track and the power of it and the weight of it.
Right, but I skip it almost every time I listen to Good Kid, even though it's incredible. But yeah, Mama is one of the best spots on the album. One of the reasons I love Kendrick Lamar as an artist. So great song.
Gotcha. All right. And just random, I'm still disappointed that we never got the second part of the video for Sing About Me. I don't know if y'all knew that there was supposed to be a second part, but it's like at the end of the first video there was going to be another part. We never got that. It was like I check on YouTube every now and then just to see if I missed something, but no, we never got that.
Let me interject something real fast. Fake Short Drive just tweeted, Kendrick really is showing Outkast levels of progression. To Pimp A Butterfly is light years ahead of Good Kid, Mad City.
A lot of people have been making that Outkast comparison.
Mm-hmm.
The difference in the sound and the progression, and I think you've said something about that, or not necessarily Kendrick and Outkast, but I think you mentioned that someone said something about no one changing their sound as much as Outkast did consistently.
Sonically, this is 2 years removed from Good Kid, a little over 2 years, but yeah, sonically it's way different.
Got it. Do y'all have thoughts on that before I go into the next song?
I agree.
All right, Rich?
Agreed. Word.
All right, so next two tracks. We've got Hood Pop. Actually, we'll just talk about that one. I think that one is worthy of getting its own spotlight. So we got Hood Politics, which I guess for some people, Hood Politics is probably the song they were hoping the whole album would be.
Mm-hmm.
Being real. But what were y'all's thoughts on Hood Politics? We're gonna start with you, Rich.
All right, Hood Politics started off like it was going to sound one way, and then it went in a totally different direction, which was great. It was awesome. Boo Boo, yeah, that was awesome. That was awesome. Speeding up the tempo, slow it down a little bit. I mean, yeah, it was that I have no problem with that song, and the messages that he was delivering. Again, this was one of the songs that was trending on Twitter last night too.
It's probably because people wanted a whole album of Control verses. And that was probably the closest that they could get to it. The beginning of Hood Politics is the closest they could get to it.
Well, that's the problem, is because those are the casual fans. Those are the people who just listen to Kendrick just to say, "Oh, is this better than Drake or not?"
It is, but
I don't even want to get into talking about Drake's album right now.
That's not an album.
That is a mixtape, and that's not even a mixtape. That is a Dropbox folder of songs you forgot you had.
Exactly. Someone went to the studio one day, obnoxiously on some horrible production, and put that bullshit out. Man, it was terrible.
Yeah.
Terrible.
Golly. All right, so Lee, Hood Politics.
Oh, one of my favorite songs, and surprisingly enough, because I looked at the track list, saw that title, and rolled my eyes. I was like, oh, really, we're gonna go here? It started. I was listening to it. I'm like, okay, this is different. And then when it got into like the boo boo, and I'm like, okay, now I'm hooked. Now it's incredible.
Yeah, I was one of the people that missed his freestyle on Big Boy's Neighborhood, which had parts of Hood Politics in it.
A lot of it in there.
Yeah, and interesting thing, I think it was on purpose though. He didn't say some of the parts in the song, like the Killer Mike line, which was dope. Like I had the ooh face as soon as he. As a matter of fact, I had the ooh face going on through that whole song just about. But like towards the end of it, like I was like, that was nuts. But that's real though. Yeah. And he took a lot of people to task because, it starts off, you feel like he's just going, rap, braggadocious, go at everybody. But he took listeners, critics, and other artists to task in that joint, and it was dope. I loved it. Anybody got last words on that?
That's another one of my favorites on there. I've more heard, like, with my one listen, I've heard it more sonically than lyrically. So I'm going to have to go back and, like, pick everything back up. Because that's how I listen to music. I hear it sonically first with, okay, this is the production, let's do this. So I hear it about 75% production, about 25% lyrics most of the time.
See, yeah, with me, I was in a weird position. Like, when Kendrick's dropped, I was like, I have to listen to this. I was working overnight at a hospital, and I'm like in there, and I have to type on the computer, so I'm sitting there with my phone on my shoulder listening to it. And like the speakers on my phone are terrible, so like I'm not getting none of the lows or nothing, and I can barely understand everything that he's saying. So as I listen to it then, I'm just hearing like some of the melodies and stuff, or I'm paying more attention to how different the sound is. So I was like, I got that. And then, I have an hour drive from home, to back home or whatever, and I played it then, and I'm hearing everything he's saying, and I'm just like, jaw dropped the whole ride. And I was like, this is ridiculous. And I was trying not to pay attention to what a lot of people were saying, but I was on Reddit and I was on Twitter. And people were just the Reddit conversation, I'm only kind of fairly new to the Reddit conversations, and it was much more constructive than the Twitter and Facebook stuff that I was seeing, because of course it went straight to Drake and comparing them.
Oh.
or you had the guy talking about, I knew he wasn't gonna top GKMC, and I'm like, I felt like he topped GKMC in the first 6 songs, and those aren't even my favorite songs.
Well, that's the thing, because Twitter and Facebook's a microwave society, where Reddit you can expound on so many ideas. The problem, I mean, you can do that on Twitter, but people don't realize how to do it.
No, not in 140 characters. All right. So after that, we've got Dr. Dre's production. Dr. Dre ? Because we never know if he produced it actually. But how much a dollar costs?
With that's the one with Fauntleroy and.
Yes, and I was excited to see him on the credits too. I was very excited to see him on there because he rarely ever does anything wrong. Mm-hmm. But this one was a lot like All Right to me. As far as like getting away from the sound, but I still think it fit better than All Right did overall. Probably because of what Kendrick was saying made it fit better. But Lee, go ahead. What'd you think of that song?
It was little underwhelming, mainly because I've heard a lot of that song already. Like he raps that verse pretty consistently. I can't really pick out where he did it, but I know he did that verse somewhere. He rapped it live when I saw him at the Music Fest 2014 in Atlanta. So I mean, it was underwhelming for that reason, but that's unfair to the song in the context of the album. The production was solid. It wasn't anything like, oh my god. It was a good song. It was solid. It did stand out, but it wasn't as bad as all right as far as not fitting.
Right. And actually, I'm looking at production and it says Love Dragon. I don't know who that is.
I don't even.
I'm pretty sure it was Dr. Dre though. I'm gonna go with that. But Joe, what did you think of How Much a Dollar Costs?
It was cool. That's kind of let me see. That's kind of where it kind of started stalling for me because Complexion was cool to me too, but How Much a Dollar Cost was I liked it and I thought it was like it might have been the most funky of the funky songs on the project. And then when Ron Isley just comes in, I mean it reminded me of like when Kanye gets a Charlie Wilson verse. Like just more soulful than that though.
Right. I think with that song, the first couple parts aren't that fantastic to me, but I think that third verse, I think it's the third verse, where he's talking to the bum about like change and everything. I think that's what like really hooked me onto that song, and of course like the Ron Isley part and everything. But Rich, what did you think of that song?
I thought it was okay. Yeah, I mean, it sounded good. As you said, it didn't really pick up until. Well, I think some of the other verses are a little bit better than, some of the earlier ones, the final one especially. But overall, I thought it was okay. Not as good as other stuff I've heard on the album, but it was okay.
Gotcha. And diving right into the next song, Complexion. Joe, you want to start that off?
Complexion, I felt like Complexion was needed. I'm not that big of a fan of it. I think it's, but it needed to be on there, especially with the racial divide that's going on and, pretty much all of that kind of stuff that's going on right now. Like, that was a song that Kendrick made specifically for this time period.
Gotcha. Lee?
Again, I echo those statements. I think it's a necessary song. It's not a song that he could have trimmed off in the trimming process for the album. I don't think it's a song that he recorded to several different beats. I think it was tailor-made for that beat. Rhapsody's verse was good. I think she usually gets murdered when she gets on records with like high-profile artists. Like Absol's killed her. Chance the Rapper wrapped circles around her. Kendrick did it. So I mean, she held her own. It was the best I've heard her as far as features go. I love the concept. I love the confidence that he tries to bring to people who are going to listen to him, who may have the colorism in their mind. And I think it was a necessary track. I love it. Musically, not my favorite, but I love the direction of it. I love what the message is.
I forgot Rhapsody was on that, and that's not like saying anything to like that, her voice was whack or anything. But it's like she's not very memorable to me, I guess.
Well, you hated the last album.
I did. That was awful.
It was terrible.
I call her Rap Story.
I enjoyed that album, and like I said before, before we were recording, hearing what she was talking about on that album, and then hearing this song and her being on that verse, not surprised at all. Yeah, they may have, I don't know, what happened behind the scenes, but I feel like that in that context that she could have been a target. Like, we need to get her on this track for that purpose because of her perspective on this thing. But Rich, how did you feel about that song?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with pretty much everything that has been said. I know this song was made specifically for the album. I thought it was great. I never heard any of Rhapsody stuff prior to this, so I have to go back and listen to the other stuff to get a deeper context as to her message. But I thought,
I don't know, this might be a bad place to start.
Richie doesn't listen to the Big Sean album. You're not going to go back and listen, be honest.
No, I am going to be listening to that Big Sean album. I have a lot of Yeah.
Oh.
Goodness. Any last words on Complexion?
Rhapsody's verse got really, really, really good towards the end. Like, she started snapping towards the end. I will say that. Like, it was like, oh my God. But, yeah, that's about it.
Word. And have you listened, did you listen to Beauty and the Beast, Lee?
Yeah.
Okay, what did you think of that album?
It was solid. Good 6.5 out of 10, maybe 7, maybe.
Yeah. Joe gave it a whole 1.
No. He got game was so bad though. Like
I didn't like it at all. And I said when we were talking about that album on the show before, like she was just an artist. Like I felt like there were things there. I'm like, I know you good for something. I don't know what it is yet.
Look,
I couldn't find it.
Nobody should have an entire album of Ninth Wonder beats unless it's Little Brother. Like,
or MF Doom or somebody who can lyrically complement that production. I mean, it's soulful, but it's not too eventful either. So.
Yeah. True that. You need a more charismatic artist, and I think that's her pitfall. She's not very charismatic.
Raps in one tone at all times.
Yeah, that is true. I will agree to that. But all right, so into the next song that we've all heard many times before that album came out, "Black of the Berry." Or I'm assuming that everybody's heard it plenty of times. We'll start with Lee.
This is a tough one. I mean, there's so much content, and there are so many conversations to be had from this one song. It's a dialogical piece, in my opinion. Like, there's so much you can talk about. At first, I have to be honest, I didn't agree with the song at all because I think it's a horrible misstep to compare inner city crime with a power structure that's lasted for centuries. And when I listen to it more and more and more, the more I get away from him doing that. I don't really think that was his intent with this record. Because when you listen to the end of both of the first 2 verses, when he says, "You made me a killer, emancipation of a real nigga," it's like, who is you and who is me? And definitely addresses that power structure. And if you really think about it, where is his perspective in the whole song? I mean, is he rapping from his own perspective, or is he rapping as the killer and then rapping as the person affected by the killer? And even if it's a misguided interpretation saying that I'm a hypocrite for crying for Trayvon and I'm doing the same thing you're doing. So, I mean, I get it. I love the hardness of the song. It is so hard. Like, I played that song today and pulled up next to a cop, man. And I swear to God, like, he was shook, man. He was shook. He just looked at me and went the other way. But I mean, it's not a hard record. I went into work with a chip on my shoulder, man. Like, just listening to this song, it's so hard. I love the production. I'm usually not a fan of Boy Wonder. He produced this, right?
Yes, he did.
I usually hate his beats because, I mean, he's kind of synonymous with Drake, and I'm not a fan of Drake at all. But this was hard. I feel like Kendrick didn't sell himself short because usually I think when Kendrick grunts, he loses something. Like, as far as the syllables, he's not as structured as he usually is, but in this one, he stayed consistent. One of my favorite songs on the album. I could talk about this for hours. I mean, there's so much content, so many things I agree with, so many things I disagree with. It's amazing.
But before I get into what I was about to say, now I can't get the image of you pulling up next to the cop out of my head. Like, you're probably just looking in his window, like,
mugging him.
Got the volume cranked, like, say something.
Oh, yeah. I'm ready to die about it, man. I'm ready to die.
Word. But I definitely echo a lot of what you're saying because I said this on Twitter. I saw the girl that you retweet on Twitter that had that completely naive, I guess is the best way to say it, like, view on the song. But I think the end of the song, the last statement, the Trayvon part, made me forget about everything else in the song.
Exactly.
And then when I started listening to it, I couldn't figure out, just like you said, I didn't know what perspective he was rapping from. The stuff that was being said, like, who was saying it? I couldn't understand it. And that made me, like, change up my thoughts on the Trayvon part because, like, I don't know. It's hard for me to articulate exactly where it stands, but there's so many layers to that song that I'm still unraveling. Like that and freaking, I'm still figuring out Lupe's album. I'm still figuring the whole thing out. I ain't got it. And I'm trying not to, like, go and read lyrics and stuff. I'm just sitting there and I'm trying to figure it out. But that particular song, like, it's crazy. And I love the aggression in it.
Yeah. The aggression of Black of the Berry is what attracted me to it the first time. Like, I was listening to it. I played it at work because I posted it. And I was like, all right, I got a few minutes. Let me play this real fast. And so he got to the part where he was talking about I can't remember specifically, but he said my nose. He's like, what's he say? My nose is big. Shit,
My dick is big, my nose is round and wide.
Yeah,
Yeah, my hair is nappy, my dick is big,
yeah, like my jaw dropped the first time, and I was like, holy shit, Kendrick is going off right now. And I knew what kind of track it was going to be by him saying that. I knew he was going to be addressing like the race issues and the social structure issues and all that kind of stuff. So,
and a lot of it was just how different people perceive it too on both ends of the scale, and just trying to figure that part out. Which that's why the whole statement, "I'm the biggest hypocrite of 2015," and the hypocrite thing at the end, like, who's saying that for real? Rich, what'd you think of that song?
If there was ever an angry black man song, it would be this song. And just like you said, like you said earlier, and just like Joe just said, when I heard this song in particular, that's when I figured, okay, so obviously he wanted to make a statement with this album and relating to all the stuff that's been going on, with the Trayvon Martin and the killings, all this other stuff. So that was what I got from it. What you said about him being a hypocrite, well, yeah, I can see why you say there's a lot to agree and disagree on the track, because there was a little bit of confusion. What I assumed he was saying is that this is how he is perceived as a threat.
I actually now, like, I need to listen to it more, but in the mindset that I'm in right now, my understanding of the song is when he says hypocrite, I feel like now that I understand it to be sarcasm, actually, to a degree, especially towards the end. But I'm still trying to figure that out.
Right.
But did you have any more to say?
No. Oh no, go ahead.
No, I was messing you up. Go ahead. What were you saying?
Oh no, I was just saying maybe he'll give us some more insight on that. If that's what he was trying to do, but or maybe it's just that done that way, left for people to interpret.
Yeah, true that. And then
this song would have been more shocking if Lupe didn't do the Lost Generation verse on Chris' album, because that
true, because it was the same thing
in one verse that Kendrick said an entire song, and it was more shocking. Like, the fuck Martin Luther King, nigga, fuck change. Like, what? You know what I'm saying? Like, wait a minute, what? Like the whole, fuck this Mike. We should be fucking with Mike, military-industrial complex, and then Michael Jordan is investing in privatized prisons. Like, that verse took a lot of steam off this song, and I'm pretty sure Kendrick knows that, and it's probably why he put it out, honestly.
Yeah, and then look at the timing. Like, I still flip out over the incredible timing of that song when it got put out, because he just walked away with these, no offense, Joe, white people's awards.
Right.
And then Black as a Berry came out, and it's just like like they sitting there like, oh, Kendrick,
No, it's cool. It's cool. Because I don't claim. I don't claim.
You don't claim that delegation. Word, but like the timing of it, like it was like a slap in the face. And then, but like we've said it multiple times. In the beginning, I was thinking respectability, politics, and it's evolved since then. And I was like, God dang! But and then on top of that, this is kind of off subject, but Sci-Hi the Prince, freaking, I can't remember the name of his song, but it's like super respectability politics, and it just pissed me off. And people, and I was like, come on, man, Black History Month, and you drop this hot garbage.
Yeah.
I can't stop thinking of how Sci-Hi looked in that picture with Farrakhan and Kanye. Every time we bring him up, that's all I can think about. He has that eat shit grin.
That's the face I imagine him having after he finished that stupid ass song in that project. I haven't, because like you know how much I messed with the Black History the first time.
Dog, you made me listen to that South by Southwest last year, and I was so mad.
I love that project, and then I got to this one. I haven't listened to this mixtape past that song. I can't get past that song.
I've been struggle rapping since, what's that mixtape you put out with the looking for that nigga?
The Royal Flush or something like that.
Since then, like since his verse on Appalled, no side. Stay where you are.
I thought he was stepping it up. I thought Black History Project. I thought he was moving forward, and then he just took the illest Fat Joe lean back off this whole mixtape, and I can't listen to it. I can't go back. Every time I get to that song, I get pissed off. And I'm gonna have to link it in the post so people know what I'm talking about. But what is the next song on here? All right, so You Ain't Gotta Lie. I really, really, really love this song.
Yeah.
Like, it's one of my favorites off there. Like, you know, what y'all were saying about Mama Said, not Mama Said, what was the song? Just Mama. Yeah. The things y'all were saying about that, I felt that way about You Ain't Gotta Lie. Like, I loved everything about this song. I don't know if it was my favorite yet, because that's still floating around a little bit, but it's definitely up there. But what did y'all think of this one? Rich? Oh, we lost Rich. I didn't realize he left. And we're still recording. Good. I'm glad that didn't cut out. But Joe. Joe, what'd you think of that one? You ain't gotta lie.
Yeah, that's another one of my favorites. Just, I think the chorus after the first verse is what drew me in, but just the entire message of that song was just, you know, it's a good way, and it transitions so effortlessly into I.
Yes, it does. It is a fantastic transition to that, which I think Lee already said it. I think even you said it. This version of I is so dope.
My God, I felt a tear like going down my eye when I first heard it. Like no joke, like that's no bullshit either. Like I really felt a tear. Like I was so proud of that song, like turning into that.
Yeah. Rich, can you hear us? We'll let his connection get right. Lee.
One of my favorites on the album, mainly because I can relate to it. I know kids like that. You know, like they do whatever, say whatever to fit in. I mean, and it's kind of ridiculous. I actually wrote a song myself, it's kind of on topic, about a kid like that. He came to the studio, he was like 15 at the time, maybe younger. And he was like 12 actually. He came in the studio with like a bottle of Hennessy, a bag of weed. And I remember like snatching the bottle from him, pouring him out, like, what are you doing, man? Like, you're young. Enjoy your youth. Enjoy your sobriety and all of that. And I saw him recently. That was years ago. I saw him recently on the block hustling. And it messed me up inside. I had to go write a song about it. And this reminded me of that. So I love this record. I can relate to it 100%. One of my favorites on the album.
Gotcha. My initial impression of that song was basically what people expected hood politics to be, kind of an attack on hip-hop in general. I actually felt like this song was more of an attack on hip-hop or the artists in it, for sure. Rich, we're talking about You Ain't Gotta Lie. What were your thoughts on that track?
Yeah, I thought it was good. I had to make sure I had a technical issue there for some reason. So I hope it didn't affect y'all, because...
Nah, when you dipped out, I looked at the top right and was like, I hope it's still recording.
It's recording, so I'm going to assume it's recording. No, I thought it was good. I mean, is that song the opposite of Mama? I mean, I feel like a lot of these songs, it's like, you know, it's one version and then it's another version.
Yeah. I haven't thought of it in that context yet. I'm definitely gonna have to listen to it.
It seems like you hear one song and then the counterpart's like a few songs later.
Yeah.
I'm gonna look at it again or listen to it again.
That's a song I have to continue to listen to more of. I mean, it sounded great to me. I wasn't really listening to what was being said, so I need to listen to that again.
Gotcha. And we talked about the transition in I, which is definitely something I wanted to get to, or I in general. I wanted to talk about it. But how did you feel about this version of I versus what we'd already heard?
Oh yeah, the live version. Hey, I thought it was great. You know, he tried to up it a little bit more. Now I thought the video version was fine too, but obviously, you know, the
nuts dance. That's the nuts dance.
Oh yeah, that dance. Yeah, you know, that's a very important dance. You know.
I told you that was Kendrick dance like he's trying to walk through a crowd in Assassin's Creed. But I love this version, and you liked I a lot, Joe, when it first came out. I was like, I understand that. First listen, I was like, okay, this song is going to be the one, you know, top 40 plays or whatever. This is going to be on the radio, especially with you being a radio DJ. I knew you had a good understanding of that. But for some reason, like now, like hearing this version, I was like, I don't get that feeling at all. I really enjoy it, and it fits right into everything else that we've heard on the album, especially with the part after the song, which I'm interested to get y'all's perspective on that and thoughts on the additional piece.
I actually didn't get to listen to that because the time was running. I should have listened to it because we never start on time.
Right.
But yeah, I didn't get to listen to it, so but I'm gonna have to go back and listen after we're done.
Okay. Rich, did you get to hear the extra piece?
I actually didn't either, so I have to listen to that again.
Man, my feelings hurt. Lee, did you get to hear it?
Yeah. At first, it was hard for me to make sense of him putting a live version of "I" on the album. Like, why'd you do that? You could have just did a studio version. And I've seen him perform the song better, actually.
Right.
I mean, when he had the black eyes in, he
Yeah.
performed it better in my opinion. But that in part brought it home for me because whatever happened in that audience, it really made that moment special. Because here he is talking about love yourself, and whatever happened in the crowd, and he has to speak out against violence at one of his shows, speaking on love. So it goes back to you where he's like, you ain't no leader. He talks about his influence, and he trivializes that, and you see it manifested at one of his shows, and I think that really put that song in context, which is another reason why "You" is genius as a counterpart to "I."
Right.
And I think that one thing that stood out to me as far as a negative for that track was the fact that he put a automated studio digitized crowd in there just as a consistent, it's a looped sound. It was kind of I didn't like that. But aside from that, I mean, it was stellar. I love it.
Gotcha. Yeah, I definitely enjoyed it, and I appreciate that they put that live version in for the reasons that you just said. You know, whatever happened in the crowd and stuff, and jumping into that, I think it fit really well. But now we are moving into the last song, Mortal Man, which was trending on Twitter because people just lost their shit when they heard everything on there, when they heard the interview.
I got a question first. Did those cartoons of Kendrick and Tupac come with the album, or did
I don't know. I
them?
think another artist did that.
Those came out after Hot Power video dropped. When he put the little flash text at the beginning of the video.
Did it really?
Some local artist that did that a long time ago, and I remember that piece specifically because I wanted to draw it, but it wasn't original, so I was like, whatever. But yeah, that was done a while ago, but it fits perfectly. I love that. It's beautiful.
Yeah, I haven't seen like a bunch of them. I've only seen that one with like the crown over their head and the shadows on the back. I didn't know there was more than one, but I figured that those came out before, especially because we've known about his attachment to Tupac ever since High Power or whatever. But what did y'all think of Mortal Man? The song first, then we'll go into the interview. Rich. Or Joe, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say that was another one that I had to skip through because I saw that we were going to talk about the interview, so I was like, all right, I'll just listen to the interview.
Got you. Rich.
Yeah, I thought it was great. I mean, from what I'm still trying to process the actual song, because I figured that this was like a discussion. He's just talking about stuff, like he's trying to have a discussion with Tupac before the actual conversation. I wasn't really, I mean, I don't have any issues with it because I was into it. I was into that part of the song, but then, of course, we'll get to the second half. So.
All right, Lee.
I felt like he was building up to this one moment on the album for the entire album. I mean, literally, he has pieces of that interview everywhere, and he adds more to it with every time you hear it. And for that to be the climax of it, musically, it was underwhelming. Like, it just wasn't enough musically. But that interview, man, and I know we're going to get into that later, but it really added something to it. And I think that consistently, I mean, he was pretty consistent lyrically. I think that it could have been a little better. I mean, we've heard that style of song from Kendrick before, so it was a little underwhelming, but it was great. I mean, I don't know if it's my top 5 on the album, but it's fantastic in my opinion.
Gotcha. For some reason, like when he was doing the bits and pieces of that poem or whatever throughout the project, I didn't recognize that the breaks in it were related to the song until that song. Yeah. And hearing him say the whole thing, and I started piecing it together, and I was like, okay, that was really dope. A lot of people probably picked up on that a little bit sooner, but like right then is when it made a lot of sense, and I had a greater appreciation. And then for it to be leading into that conversation with Tupac made it even more incredible. But you can go ahead and start that conversation. We can go ahead and jump into that. So speak on the interview.
The interview was the climax of the album. It made the whole album make sense. And it was one of the reasons why I think this is Kendrick's best work, because I get Good Kid, Mad City and the fact that it's a narrative, but it's one narrative. and it's a relatable narrative. It's from his perspective. Cool, I got you. This album has several narratives, several things going at one time, and for him to make that all make sense and for it to lead up to one moment that completely, I guess, defines the entire body of work. That is the reason you listen to that album. I mean, he sums it up in one interview, and you have to think like that all came from one idea. That whole body of work came from one idea. So I think that interview was genius in the spoken word and how he snuck that in there. Like, I want to get your opinion on this. Like, listen to this. And the way he did it, like, it was perfect. And Tupac's like sound bites were perfectly mixed. Everything was just incredible, man. It was incredible.
Yeah, I agree. Rich.
This song, or should I say this interview, this is one of the songs that was trending the most on Twitter. Because everybody lost it. When then I heard people saying, "Oh, Tupac is back." I saw a tweet. Wow. What's wrong with you?
I'm glad I was driving at that point, so I didn't get to see people tweeting about it. But I'm sure there's a lot of people who was like, "Yo, he got Tupac. Tupac came back. His first thing he did was interview with Kendrick on the album."
Yes,
I can believe that actually happened on Twitter. I can believe it. But go ahead.
But no, I mean, everything Lee said, I can't say it any better than that. But what I am going to say is that, yes, again, the way it was put together, it is very convincing because it's, the way he's introduced is like, it's like he's having a conversation. You'd be like, well, who is he talking to? Then as soon as you hear the voice, it's not like he's saying, this is my guest, Tupac. As soon as you hear the voice, oh, that's Pac.
Right.
You already know it. It's just the way that came together. It's like, yeah, it really stands out. So it's awesome.
Yeah, and for the people that haven't figured this out yet, that interview was pre-recorded. But how crazy is it that what he was saying then, how crazy it parallels what's happening right now on a large scale?
Well, it doesn't really parallel because things really haven't changed that much in 20 years.
True. I guess that's true. I guess now we're just at a point where it's so emphasized and so out there that it resonates more.
It's seen more on a broader spectrum because of social media. You can't go anywhere without logging on to social media without seeing something about the Ferguson stuff or the SAE thing or pretty much anything that's racially dividing the United States right now. It's just put that microscope on it.
True that. Did you have any more statements on the interview in general?
For what it's worth, I liked it. I'm not really the biggest Tupac fan when it comes to music, but I appreciate his
outlook.
Yeah, his outlook and him just as a person. I appreciate all those interviews. Sometimes I go back and I watch Tupac interviews, and it just blows my mind how intelligent this guy was.
Yeah. And
I don't know, the whole thing, it reminded me of when I record a call for work, and I play back the part that I just want to use. He tailored this entire thing to his thought process. And granted,
Oh, we lost Joe. We're going to have to wait for him to come back.
Freeze frame.
We lost him, but to kind of pick up off what he was saying, one thing, I need to listen to it a few more times. I wish I could remember exactly what he says at the beginning of the poem, but the thing about misusing your influence, and then to hear the end and realize he's talking to Pac and giving him that thing, that blew my mind. I thought that was so dope, and then it made me wonder, how long has Kendrick been planning this project?
Right.
This may have been he may have been thinking about this at High Power, when High Power came out.
Right.
He's been working on it this whole time, and it's incredible. And of course, we just got this album, but it just makes me wonder, what are we gonna get next? I can't even imagine what's gonna come up next. I know I'm gonna have to stifle my expectations because this right here, this project puts it into the stratosphere at this point, because this is incredible. But let's get a roundup of impressions of the full project as a whole. How did y'all feel about it, from beginning to end, and just personally and in the grand scheme of hip hop? Will it be? Do you think it's going to be widely accepted? I personally think that GKMC was the good setup for this to be brought to a larger audience. It's awesome that he is in the kind of a prime where he has the most ears out there right now, that he's putting this project out that wouldn't be widely accepted if he weren't who he was and at the level that he is. But Lee, how do you feel about the whole album?
I think this is Kendrick Lamar's It Was Written. If Good Kid, Mad City was Illmatic, this is his It Was Written. People won't really appreciate this album for a few years, I think, because when you look at the initial reaction, everybody's like, oh, what is this trash? Y'all just like it because it's a lot. Because it's not a lot of 808s. It's not as atmospheric as like a Weekend record. It's not intentionally dumbed down like, you know, you see the Drakes and the Big Sean's do. He's not doing the Migos flow everywhere. It actually has some live instrumentation on it. And it's saying something. It's saying multiple things. And I think that it's going to take a while for this to be accepted. It is not accessible at all. If you haven't been following Kendrick since Kendrick Lamar OD, like, you're going to have some trouble, I guess, getting this album and understanding Kendrick and some of the things he struggled with. I think, for me, this is my favorite body of work from him. And I know it's early, but oh well, if I have a change of heart, I'll change it. I mean, it is what it is. But it's my favorite from him. A number rating, I'll save that for my review because I don't know yet. But
yeah, we're not looking for a number rating. We don't want to drop that out.
Yeah. If Tetsuo is here, this album is here. They're like right there with each other. And that's one thing I really appreciate about this year so far, because I mean, last year sucked so much. It was just garbage album after garbage album. Let down. And here, these artists just unapologetically, like, really wrap their asses off, put out something special. I'm excited. So, you know, shout out to Kendrick. Great album.
I'm curious what the rest of the year is going to be like, but I'm going to hold tight.
Sucks. Spoiler alert.
I was just about to say something about that, because like, I'm going to hold tight to this Lupe and Kendrick album, because I don't have faith, especially with apparently him saying that he's attempting to mimic Drake's success. Like, him saying that, and then me thinking about what we've heard so far, I'm like, hey man, I'm just going to get ready for this disappointment.
If it sounds anything like All Day with Paul McCartney coming in the fucking bullshit Whistle Dixie at the end.
Oh, All Day.
I enjoy that song to a degree for what it was.
What's the Rihanna song?
The
4 or 5 seconds.
There you go.
I didn't hate that song. I enjoyed that one. I liked it a whole lot more than Only One, and I like it more than All Day in general. But man, I was hoping for like a return to form for Kanye after Yeezus, man. Well, that was an empty hope. I'm sorry.
Well, no, it is. Well, no, it is. He acknowledges that, because the next album is So Help Me God. Isn't that the name of the album? That's the name of the album.
Actually, you know what? Wait, is that the actual name? Because I know the name's out there now.
Yeah, that's the real name. So Help Me God. I know I cut out again, but I wanted to say like my little piece on the end of it.
Yeah, go ahead.
I think that this album was needed, especially, you know, how we've been talking about the racial divide in the country, and Ferguson, and, you know, Mike Brown and Trayvon. You know, it emulates a lot of those social issues that people are scared to talk about in a broader context. So I feel like this album was needed. It's gonna sound amazing live. Like, if Kendrick goes on tour this year, I will miss my car payment so I can go catch this shit. Like, I will have to. Like, I mean, just that album's gonna sound incredible live. But what Lee was saying about how this is his It Was Written, people aren't gonna appreciate until later. I would liken it more to like 808s, to Kanye's 808s. Sonically, people aren't going to get it right now. Give them 6 months, give them a year, give them 2 years. They're going to come back and they're going to be like, holy shit, Kendrick did something. And it's going to change the landscape of hip-hop.
I hope so. I really, really hope so. To echo what you said, this is an album that was needed. Not only was it something that was needed, it was needed by an artist on his level with his audience.
He took the microphone and he used it for a message.
He was like, y'all gave me this stage, motherfucker, you shouldn't have done that, because now I got something to say. that sums up what that album is to me at least. So I'm and just like Lee was saying, it may be too early, but I felt that in the first 6 songs it was better than GKMC, which is not a slight to that. Just what he was saying, the direction he was going, the sound I was hearing, and what I enjoy, I like it more. I put Section 80 over GKMC for me. Yeah, and I think that's where my battle was going to be with Tom, trying to decide, is Section 80 better than this, or is this better than Section 80? It's going to be a tough one, I think, but it's a great album. Do y'all think, with the whole fiasco with the release, where do y'all think is going to land numbers-wise?
Uh-oh.
Like, give me, what do you think, and what do you hope? Joe, you want to go first?
I hope 500. I think 350.
You think 350?
I think about 350-ish. That's about what Cole did.
Okay. Let me do some calculations real quick, because I don't know how factual that tweet was, but did y'all see that thing that Hip Hop Facts said that the album made $1 million?
That's a phony. That's a phony.
I was like, where?
Phony.
$1 million.
Yeah, which that's actually not a lot, sales wise. That would be. It's like 71,000. That's not a lot at all. But I'm curious to see where it's gonna go. And if that tweet was factual, it was probably based on iTunes pre-orders, honestly.
Yeah, he was #1 in pre-orders. So
yeah. So Lee, where do you think it's gonna land?
I think it's gonna land around 250, 3 even. I wanted to go at least. I want to do 500, 600, something like that. I want to make a huge statement sales wise, but I'm kind of tired of numbers validating projects. I'm sick of that.
It doesn't.
Awards. I'm tired of everyone, complaining about, oh, this artist didn't sell this much. So who cares? Like, Tech Nine's been one of the best lyricists for years, and he got a platinum plaque on the indie circuit. Nobody cares.
Right.
Right before that, he was a legend before he got a platinum plaque.
But he has to do more than 500, or else people are going to say, oh, Drake's better. Look, Drake outsold Kendrick. He's so much better.
I mean...
But you know what? I'm gonna keep laughing at those people, because they paid money for that Trash Boat mixtape.
And it's just
like, they really... Like, I've listened to that song, and if I put myself just on the mindset of what Drake can do and what he has done, if I just put myself in the mind state of a Drake stan, that mixtape sucks.
But you also got to look at it too. That's we talked about it. That's a project of just one-offs and just stuff he had in the studio or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean,
but people are gonna compare it.
It's a lot better than other people's stuff.
Yeah. Which that's I think that's more of an insult to the other people's stuff that's out there, or more of an example of how bad stuff is out there. So I don't know, but yeah, you're right. The comparison is going to be made. I think whatever the Talk Dog guy, I think they knew that, and they were trying to get it up there #1, so they made sure it would reach those numbers. I still think, because of the singles and what we've heard so far, that he probably lost a bit of his audience to a degree. I don't have a problem with that, though. Just based on the audience that he gained from GKMC. Like, we've talked about multiple times the people that listen to Swimming Pools and don't know what the hell was actually being said in that song. Like, the people that they just don't listen to it, they just hear it.
They thought it was a song about taking shots.
Well, wait a second. I have a question. So what song lost the audience? Black of the Berry, perhaps?
No, if anything, Day One.
I heard that Isley Brothers, they're like, this ain't Bitch Don't Kill My Vibe.
that was a rap. If I didn't do it, King Kunta took the rest of them out.
Over with, Benito, over, done, finished.
That was it. Because like Black of the Berry, the aggression is something that people wanted to hear. So, whether they agreed or not or really paid attention, all they heard was aggressive rap and Kendrick, right? But I and King Kunta, nah, man. Some iTunes pre-orders got canceled.
But see, that's the crazy thing is like none of Kendrick's singles went top 40 on Good Kid, Mad City, and I was top 40. Like we were playing it at my job at night. It's like
yeah, but then if you think about art, so think of it from that perspective. So if I hit top 40, so that diversified the listeners. So because he couldn't just have black people listen to it. It got more people. If they got pulled in, Black of the Berry probably took them out.
Push them all the way out.
very true.
Like, he reeled them in with that top 40 track. He get the Grammy, and then bam, Black of the Berry. iTunes pre-orders canceled. Done, son.
Straight up.
So that's why I think what y'all said, 250, 300, that'll probably where it lands right now. Over time, it's probably going to do a lot better, I think.
It's going to get a couple.
Well,
I think it'll maintain a lot longer than some other albums.
Yeah.
Here's another question. Do you think this album will influence his competition, such as Drake, etc., or are they still...
No. Drake? No, they don't care.
Drake got his lane.
Drake
has
don't
his lane.
care.
He doesn't care.
Not Kendrick. Kanye don't care. Because, like, all these interviews where he's saying all this crazy shit, and it blows my mind that he'll have the perspective he wants to put out there about classism and stuff. But then, then the other hand, he's praising Drake. When you have an artist like Kendrick doing what he's doing, these artists don't give a shit, man. Like, for real, they don't care.
Well, he tweeted. It was earlier today, but he was thanking Kendrick about the album and stuff, and he said that that's what he was listening to in the studio today.
He was probably like, "Hey, I appreciate you for putting this album out, because then I can focus on the bullshit that I'm working on." If anybody needs something to
that's the thing. That's the thing. Kanye doesn't have to make a statement anymore.
He doesn't.
Kendrick.
But wait. But Kendrick doesn't have to fucking make a statement anymore.
But Kendrick does.
He doesn't. After GKMC, Kendrick could have went the Drake route and been fine.
Kendrick could have went Day 2. He could have named his album Day 2 and did a whole nother album with a whole nother story with the same sound as Good Kid, Mad City.
And would have been perfectly fine. But I feel like a lot of people don't hold these artists accountable when they get to this point. Or maybe the label situation plays a big part in that.
But Kendrick signed a creative control deal.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's a big part of it too.
Yeah. But as far as getting to will this influence other artists, I mean, if that would have happened, it would have happened with Control. Like, everybody said they were gonna rap better, and then Meek put out his bullshit diss record.
Boo boo.
Your neck is terrible. Like, go do. Like, what? Anyway, it was terrible. Drake, I think, because he's interesting. Like, I'm not gonna prognosticate Drake in this whole episode, take up everybody's time. But if you listen to Drake early on, So Far Gone, even his first album, Thank Me Later, what was he talking about? He makes better music than everybody. He focuses on the music all the time, 100% of the time. He doesn't fit in with the nightlife. He said this many times in his records. I don't fit in. I feel alone when I'm with all these people. He was really introspective. Suddenly, when you introduce people who can do what he does with crossover appeal, who happen to rap better, they take it to the next level, he hit the crossroads. So it's like, either I can compete with these guys, get my feet dirty, or I'm going to really try to glorify what's superficial. And he took the latter route. And that's exactly what he does. So if Kendrick gets on a record with Drake and completely bodies him, if they get into a beef together, his fans are going to die defending him because they don't care who raps better. Who cares? Because Drake has the most number ones. Drake goes platinum. He talks about all the champagne. He smashed Chris Brown's girl. Like, that's what they care about. And Drake understands that, and that's the route he took, man. So that's what that is. I don't think he's going to be motivated at all. He's sleeping so comfortably right now. He doesn't care.
Yeah. And you know, based on just the Control verse, and not even just this album, I feel like the only big artist that it may have influenced, but I still think it's taken away from thoughts he may have had before, J. Cole. Because I feel like his lane, it didn't entirely switch, but I think he did advance his music more from what he was doing before.
You know what's beautiful though is like Crit released an album and it was pretty lyrical and it dealt with some issues, and then J. Cole dropped his album and it dealt with a lot of issues, and Kendrick drops and it deals with a lot of issues. It's fun to see these young artists. Like, these artists are all our age. Like, they're mid-20s, late 20s. Like, just to see them pick up a mic and make a statement, I think it's going to encourage a lot of young people who make music to want to do that.
Right.
We'll have to bank on that being where the change happens, or where it starts. Because, you know, Kanye's and Drake's, that ain't changing. Jay-Z's, that ain't changing. That's going to stay exactly where it's at. But I'm hoping that somebody surprises us, though. Like, maybe someone that we haven't named. And we got to think about Lupe, too, because Lupe said a lot in his album, too.
Uh-oh.
He said the most in his album. It's just nobody's taking it apart yet. Nobody's unpieced the puzzle. Like,
I need that spreadsheet. Somebody need to break that down for me.
I'm working on it, man. I'm working on it. But the thing about Lupe and what he's doing is, as far as content, that's always been there. Like, the substance has always been there. The message hasn't changed. What's with him is the technical proficiency. Like, he raps better than he's ever rapped ever in his career. And a lot of people don't like it because it's like, okay, Dumb It Down was cool, but Lupe, I prefer to understand you. Like, rap so I can understand you. I think that's done. I really do. Because if you read his Instagram post about Skulls, he talked about how he wrote the whole album in the sky. Like,
I read that. Yeah, I read that. I saw you put that.
Actually challenging MCs. He was like, if you're an MC, step it up. Like, so that he's pushing it in that direction. More like Pharoah Monch. He's not a Nas. He's a Pharaoh. Like, he's pushed the technical boundaries. And in my opinion, man, I don't know. Besides like a Loaded Lux or a Daylight, I can't really see anybody matching them bar for bar. Not an Eminem, not a Royce. I can't see it. That's just me.
I don't even want people to mention Eminem in that conversation. I mean, I got respect for him, but I don't think he has that anymore.
This acapella was dope. It was dope. I mean, he could battle somebody with that. Like, that was a good acapella.
I would like to see him in a battle, like legit in a rap battle, 3 rounds. I think that would be dope. But I don't want another Eminem album. I may be alone in that.
I could go for one. He just has to stay away from stadium production. He needs to get back to more simplistic production. I'm tired of the loud vocals. Like, just calm down a little bit. Be Slim Shady. Like, be the rapper that I missed. Not necessarily with the content, just aesthetically. Like, because he's forcing it. He's forcing it a lot. Like, the whole homophobic vibe, you can tell he's over it. Everybody's over it. Like, let these people live their lives. Like, I can tell the misogyny and all of that stuff is forced. Just be man. You have daughters that are my age. Like, grow up and give us a good album.
I think if you were to grow up lyrically and just let it just be that, then I'd probably be down for another one for sure. But I think that was all of the topics that I had. Yeah. The Sales and Impact was the last thing. Did y'all have any final words on the whole show?
I do. Don't say this is classic or trash 15 minutes after fucking listening to it.
Oh.
Fair enough.
Give it a few listens. Let it marinate. Like, my God.
Yeah, and also don't say it's classic or trash 3 songs into it either.
Yeah.
Because that definitely happened. Like, I was like, I was just sitting there timing. I'm like, the leak just came out. Now I'm looking at these tweets. It's been like less than 10 minutes. I know we ain't that far into this project right now.
Right.
But Lee, final statement.
First of all, thanks for having me. Like, this is awesome. Appreciate it. Everybody.
We'll probably have you back on like next year.
No way. Talk about Interstellar, and I'm telling you, I'll be here. I'll cancel everything.
We'll throw that in as a topic.
Overall, I'm glad this happened. I'm glad this shift is happening in hip hop right now, because when you think about it, I mean, we had Cole, Crit, Joey Badass, Lupe, now Kendrick all dropping around the same time. Pretty happy that happened. As far as this album specifically, I think that if it does what I want it to do, it'll definitely hold a lot of these superficial artists accountable for what they've been putting into the game, which is bullshit. And the fact that Kendrick kind of lured people in with the Bitch Don't Kill My Vibes, the swimming pools, he may have hit a bait and switch on a broad enough scale to maybe convert some listeners that need to be exposed to this side of hip-hop. I'm not saying it's the most contemporary album of all time, but it may be accessible just enough to get somebody who never heard of Pharaoh to check out an Organized Confusion album, to check out a Tribe Called Quest or Lauryn Hill, the Fugees, something like that. So I really appreciate what this album did. again, to echo Joe's statement, stop calling it a classic. It's been a day. Like, shit. I mean, we won't know. I mean, because that's what we did with Good Kid, and Good Kid hasn't aged as good as I wanted it to. But yeah, I'm excited for this album. I'm excited to see what it does, and I'm ready to go listen to it. So, yeah.
Word up, Rich.
Yeah. I just want to say, for those that want to listen to music that has some substance or a message, I mean, I think that it's already been said several times in this podcast that obviously this was influenced by stuff that's going on today, important issues that people should be discussing, not talking about, other stuff that's not really necessary to talk about. So I do hope more people do give it a listen. It's worth the time. It's not going to be for everybody, obviously. You already said this, but for those that are willing to listen, they definitely should check it out because they may learn something. They may be surprised by what they hear. They'll definitely be surprised, but
definitely gonna be surprised. Just hopefully that knockout punch that starts them off. Hopefully they'll listen again instead of being completely turned off. Like, hopefully they'll come back to it.
Yeah.
But me personally, I y'all said it all. I enjoyed the album. I feel like it's perfectly timed, or as good as the timing is gonna get. Just bonus stuff. I think we'll get more extra pieces thrown out there because when GKMC was coming out, we got the track before. We got Heart Part 3 came out, and then we got Dumping. Oh, The Jig Is Up.
Yeah.
It came out afterwards. I think we may get some bonus tracks, some TD collaborations, whatever. But I'm about to, as soon as we cut this video off, I'm about to listen to the album again because I'm really, really enjoying it, beginning to end. Yeah. And I appreciate you being on, man. We got to get you on more often.
Yeah.
I'll be back. That's my word.
Word. Yeah. We'll see y'all on Friday with the South by Southwest special edition version. Justin. I done been through a whole lot.
Hey, young bud.
Hey, he can throw Mary J. Blige in there with her two-step.
Oh.
And by the way, when you were making all those Mary J. Blige jokes, I never saw the video. I just saw the video of her dancing.
I might have to make round 2 for this Friday.
I think you need to do that. It's definitely good timing for that. But thank y'all for tuning in. We'll see y'all on Friday.